Welcome back to another exciting episode of Branding Banter, your promotional products podcast where you can get all the nerdy news you need to know about. My name is Jeff Franklin, National Accounts Manager, not National Accounts Manager, Director of National Sales at Headwear USA.
And I'm Meg Erber, the CXO over at the Bark and Buoy.
I'm Sarah Goshkarian Unruh, VP of Sales at Market Fuel.
Woohoo!
Where are we?
We did
Can I
it.
just say there are way too many changes this year? A lot going on. I still don't know my title.
And it's like we haven't even seen each other in like a month. So it's like I don't remember where we left off. I don't know what we've updated each other on, but I do know that I'm whooping both you losers' butts in fantasy football for the record.
Meg, when you look at the points for and the points against, you've had the softest schedule you could possibly have in our league. So I wouldn't hang on to that too tightly. Okay.
It's okay. I literally every single one of my running backs is out on like injured reserve. Every single one.
I scored 151 points this week and lost. How the hell does that happen?
I don't know. Well, in my other league, Jeff, the only two losses I've lost against the highest point score, and it was 176.7 to 176.1. That's how I lost last week. It's insane.
Disgusting.
So
Sarah, how's your first year of fantasy going?
Yeah, I'm at the bottom. I'm last. And so like one of my running backs went out right before the game and they were like, you should have gotten a notification. I was like, I was about to race. Like I literally got the notification when I had no phone on me in order to make a change. So like that sucks. So then I got
Sarah.
Otherwise I had a chance. I'm playing you this week.
You actually play me this week, so there's a good chance you're going to score like 190 points because that's how this works, apparently.
I don't know. It's like 101 versus 101 versus 117. So there's a 16-point difference. So you're slated to win, of course, because
I've been slated to win every week, but I'm like 1-3.
Yeah, I don't know. And
I've got a great team. Like I've actually made some nice waiver wire pickups. You know, my team hasn't really gotten injured. You know, it's been good, but yeah, I'm sure we've lost half the audience by now, so we should probably
like transition into our episode today.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you guys can tell, but my background's a bit different.
As
we've discussed,
I think all of ours.
I might as well be in a broom closet. It's not a broom closet, but it feels that way. And there's tools on the floor and everything, you know. So this is going to be a room for entertainment purposes. And then the room above me is actually where the office is going to be. But I haven't even started that room yet. So, yeah, lots of work to be done.
I feel like it's COVID with my lighting situation.
What was that, Sarah?
I said moving is fun, they say.
Oh, who the hell says that?
Not I, said the butterfly.
Where are you at today, Sarah? Because you've got a different backdrop today as well.
I do. I'm in Dallas, and so I'm up here this week with my son, and then I'm going to pop over to Impressions Expo. It's actually tomorrow in Dallas. I'm going to or it's this week. I think it started today. So I'm going to pop over tomorrow and go check out the floor and walk around, and then we've got Thursday night lights this week. So
very cool. Very cool.
So I'm in like
I was just in San Antonio like a week or two ago. It was my first time there, and it's like the coolest city or town that I've been in Texas.
It's a lot of fun.
Been to Fort Worth, been to Houston. San Antonio was really cool.
Yeah, that's where my husband's from. So he was born, raised in San Antonio.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to talk today a little bit about the recent PPI research that came out, promo insights on basically slight margin or slight growth faces some real severe external pressure. And I don't know, I've got my own sort of thoughts about that. And of course, everybody's different. I mean, our Planet Headwear is a little bit different than I guess some other suppliers, but did you guys happen to you guys both saw and have done a little bit of research on that article, right? So what are your key thoughts immediately? I mean, what comes to mind from you guys?
Well, I mean, we could start with the headline, right? Sales are technically up. Promo revenue grew about 0.7% in July and August, which is an improvement over the 0.37 growth, which we saw earlier in the summer. And I think we've been saying this for a while. Like, this industry is pretty stagnant. Yeah, it's growing, but like by 0.7%. I mean, that's just nothing that's really pushing the needle.
Well, that
And
0.7%, though, is worth noting. It's compared to the same month last year.
okay,
So that's
fair
year
enough.
over year for just that month. That's not like a total annual.
I know, but when you look in the whole, retrospect of everything, it's not a lot of money. Like, we really need something to push that needle, to push sales. But anyway, it's not even with inflation at 2.9%, the tariffs are climbing, and it just means that growth is being outpaced by the costs. That's all.
I mean, that's the
Yeah.
thing that I don't like about statistics, though, is that you can literally use a statistic or any particular statistic to spin a narrative whichever way you want it to be. So
Very
you always
true.
have to be really careful when it comes to statistics, in my mind, because you really got to make sure you're looking at what you're actually looking at, and really
Yeah.
see where things are. I mean, I agree. This year has been a little bit stagnant, but I mean, we had basically 2 months of some real uncertainty when it comes to tariffs. So I can understand why end users and distributors obviously then were in a pause, kind of waiting to see what's going to happen. Um, but I mean, we really haven't had any change in that since. I mean, so Q3 so far has been really good. I say so far, I think we're out of Q3 now. So Q3 was pretty good. Um, Trending in the right direction. Q2, I think, probably, a little down because of the uncertainty. But I don't know how long you guys have been removed, or if you remember sort of where things were at. What was your take on this year so far?
I mean, I just think between inflation and tariffs, right? Like, those are two factors, and that's what I think suppliers are really feeling the hit from the inflation, probably more so than what the distributors are. And so that's, I think, has impacted that supplier feeling of it being a little bit softer than what it has been in years past from a Q3 perspective. And so I think that's something to note. It's just interesting because I agree. I don't know that distributors feel that as much as what suppliers do, the increase of inflation and tariffs. Like, I just don't. It's easy that their clients are expecting it almost, but from a supplier's standpoint, it means you've got to like make the decision about where you're going to go with your prices. Are you increasing them? Do you, and so many, we've talked about this before. So many of the groups that we're part of, like, they hold you to a contract that this is what your price is for the year or for 6 months. And so we kind of are unable to make some changes. And so then there's not as much margins that are being made.
So, Meg, from the end user's perspective, I know you don't have a whole lot of history to necessarily compare it to, but what are you noticing on the whole inflation side of things? And since you are purchasing promo for the shop, are you noticing that people are a little bit more hesitant with certain things?
So I would say no, not really. Not based from my perspective, not at all. I think the reason why people like myself and buyers and end users are buying it is because we need it for an event. And I will say, when we have it for an event, the more we use it, the more we promote it, the better the event does. For example, there was a national pet store day, all across America. And it was for independent pet retailers. And it was on this past Saturday. And I just found out about it a couple weeks ago. So I just tried to put something together very quickly, pushed it out through social media, did giveaways, and we did 4x what we would do normally on a Saturday, this past Saturday, because of that event. And because of that event, I bought promo, and I had promo. So again, thanks to Bell Promo again for saving the day. So, we have to buy it regardless. Yes, we're all going to groan and moan about the price, but I really do think, for the most part, that the suppliers in the industry are absorbing a lot of the costs. But I do think it's eventually going to trickle down and squeeze the distributors too, which I think that's probably already happening, so that the end user doesn't necessarily have to feel it as much. But promo is such a small part of the whole marketing plan, but it is so imperative. It is so imperative. You want to leave that lasting, or like that lasting impression, so that people come back.
Meg, I kind of want to get your take on Sanmar's VP of Global Logistics, his quote. since you have some history with the apparel side of the industry, and
Okay.
you probably know a little bit about what Sanmar is doing. But his quote was, "There's a lot of uncertainty in the market right now, and the ocean freight industry doesn't do well with uncertainty." I mean, doesn't correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Sanmar is probably doing a lot more nearshoring than.
Yeah, I think so as well. That's why,
Oh,
because of their private labels. So, but I mean, he's not wrong about people don't do well with uncertainty. But that's like going to a medium who's a con artist, and they're just saying, "Oh, you lost somebody recently." You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's a very broad statement, but I mean, I think as an industry, we've been very resilient. I mean, we bounce back, we find ways, we pivot to find something else. And I think it's just, what Bobby Leahy was talking about, promo is just an extension of your marketing plan. And I want to hear more from him on that, actually, because I did not get to hit SKUCon this year. But I think you just have to pivot. And I think you have to be ahead of the game and just constantly, thinking about the next big thing or project or a promo item or a trend.
Yeah, I think the other piece, Jeff, that you were talking about that John had said in here in his quote was, it is interesting that freight forwarders, they're less capacity. And so they're trying to keep like the volume high of what then gets shipped out. And so like it's just like flights, I feel like, right? Like the travel industry, it's really odd at times. Like flights seem like they're super cheap, and at times like they're exponentially higher than what I feel like they ever have been for some of the cities that you're flying to. I can tell from your face, you're like, holy cow, that ticket.
Is it?
Yeah, I have to pay for
I've
them myself
definitely noticed
now.
that. And I gotta ask, like, is it just because there's like less flights, so
I think that's what it is. So that exactly is what he was talking about too. I think there's not as many flights, and so those routes, and so the cost of those flights, it's increased tremendously, and so that's why freight is so high.
We're taking a vacation here in about a month as a little treat, and it was not cheap.
Yeah, and just the flights, right? Of where normally that wouldn't be something.
I'm flying on points.
Okay.
And I have a substantial amount of points. And basically to go to Aruba, so there and back it's 3 tickets because I have companion pass as well. So it's 4 of us going. 3 tickets we paid for with points. And it's costing what it would have cost to go to Hawaii twice.
Isn't that crazy?
Insane.
I was looking at tickets for next July for my parents to come up to Maine, and it was just from Philly to Bangor it was $720 for late July of next year. $720 from Philly to Bangor next July.
I don't understand. I mean, I guess, and it's not like the airports are like empty. I mean, I go there and it's still crowded. There's still tons of people traveling. So I don't understand why there's less flights. I don't know if it has to do with fuel prices, because obviously, I mean,
well, it could also be labor. It could also be, I don't think this is a topic for, a conversation for this topic, because I don't want to get too into the weeds, but I have a lot to say about what?
I said, with our government shutdown today.
Yeah. We actually should have talked about that. We were like, what do we talk about?
It's not too late. There's like 7 minutes left in this podcast. So I mean,
all right. Well, let's wrap this up then and like talk about, stability versus strength. Like what sticks out, Jeff? Like from on the supplier side, what would you say? Are you guys losing ground? Are you guys already like what are you thinking?
Well, we had probably the dumbest marketing campaign in the history of history with what we did. Essentially, we had a price stability guarantee where, and I think I've mentioned this before, but basically, if we quoted the job and you placed the order when tariffs were 55 and whatever percent, and then that order came in and landed when it went up to 177.5%, we held that price. And there was orders that we literally lost $25,000 on, there and thereabouts. I mean, stood, we're glad that it didn't last for too long. Cause I mean, we stood to lose, a couple $1 million probably. And then on the flip side of that, if we quoted it at 177.5%, and then they went down to 60, whatever percent it is now, we also passed that along. So we were a little bit of a different beast. We knew that we were playing the long game. That's what Hidware does. I mean, we've been in business now 51 years, and we know it basically buys goodwill. To do sort of those kind of things. It helps keep food on the table for the end user, for the distributor.
Relationships.
So while it's a short term tragedy for us, I'll say, it buys a lot of goodwill, which in turn, proves proves it worth it. So,
Well, it
um,
goes back to that relationship side of the business that Meg was saying. I mean, that's just who we are, right? It goes and ideally, right? Like it circles back, and then next year you have the increase from a business standpoint because people know you held your word. And so they know you're reliable, that you're trustworthy, and so they're going to come back and continue to do business with you.
yeah. And it's the same thing with with COVID. Like during the times when people couldn't actually get product in, they were willing to pay a lot more for it if they could
Yep.
get it. And I mean, we were delivering. So I don't necessarily know that the whole inflation thing is much of an argument because I think COVID kind of proved against that.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. Sarah, you had mentioned something I think before we started recording about just there being other industries or other segments where promo is being purchased, but it's not necessarily filtering through the numbers of a PPAI or an ASI.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to elaborate on that at all or not, but I think that's a really good point as well.
Yeah, well, I just think when you look at like the American Marketing Association, and there's other associations like that exist out there that, they don't know, or they haven't known that we really exist from an industry standpoint. And so items that are being purchased underneath their marketing umbrellas aren't being deemed as promotional products. And so I think I think that's one of Drew's big initiatives. And once we have him on to talk about this, I think it'll be great because I think we're going to see an increase from a sales perspective of really the size of our industry, because of just categorizing what people are doing already from a sales perspective. And so I think that will help us as well. Because, I mean, if you look like Gabby Dollhouse, the new Gabby Dollhouse movie came out. And so when you go to the movie theater, like there were all types of like Gabby Dollhouse snack packs or like the little ears and things like that. And a lot of times they don't get associated to being deemed as promo products, but that's really what they are. And so that goes to Meg, what you were saying earlier of like what Bobby's topic is that he had shared is like, there's a lot of campaigns that are being circulated around the merch and how cool it is to be able to go get the merch that's driving people to go get it. And that's not even, we don't even think about that as being around promotional products. So it's just interesting.
Yep. So what are some practical takeaways or some things to keep on our radar? What do you guys think?
I mean, stop treating inflation like it's a dirty word. It's real, it's visible, clients know it. I think you need to educate your customers. I think when you're having those conversations, if you're transparent, everybody understands that it's happening. I just have to have those conversations. Just be very transparent with your costs. I think just to add to that, sorry, but I know our notes say it too, but like when people know when you're adding it into the margins and they know. So I think if you're just transparent and you say, hey, listen, this is what's going to cost, for example, before credit card or small businesses used to just absorb that credit card fee. And then, over the last 5 years, they were either just absorbing it in somewhere or like myself, I would say, hey, listen, if you're going to pay by credit card, I have to charge you like 3.15% as a service fee. And then they'd be like, I'll Venmo you. I'm like, okay,
Yep.
fine by me. So that's all.
No, it's true. But I mean, everything that you just said, I agree with. The other piece that, and I think you've done this from your business, and this is where you've probably seen a lot of growth, is that you are looking at promo as an investment and your brand. So it is how people are learning about Bark and Buoy and what it is that you guys do and how you're there to service the community is because you're leaning into the power of promo products. And so it really is an investment on your brand. So any new business, any new small business or medium-sized business that's struggling and they haven't opened that door to a promo, like that to me is a win, an easy win.
Yeah. So from your guys' perspective, because I'll be honest with you, I haven't really paid much attention to it over the last 2 months. I've been nuts. But are we still like actually feeling inflation, or is things subsided? Because it's from my perspective, it feels like things have subsided a little bit. It's not near as bad as it was, but it's not as great as I was hoping it would be by now.
I don't want to say feeling it. I think I don't know that I've seen the prices increase of things, and I think we expect it. But here's where I think the inflation to me is really we're not all making more money all of a sudden. So your just dollar isn't going as far as what it once was. And so my husband and I had this conversation the other day, it's like, God, we feel like we're like, what happened? All of a sudden, not as much as going into savings as what used to. And it really is just because the cost of things have increased. We haven't changed anything from a behavior standpoint. So that to me is how then I can see the inflation like effects now. It's not necessarily that there's continual rise in cost of goods. It's just there hasn't been pay increases to match what those cost of goods increases are, which then means your dollar just isn't going as far. So.
Yeah, what she said. How about you, Jeff?
Cool. All right. Anything else on this topic, or we should wrap this one up?
That's good.
Yeah, I don't have anything else. I mean, I was gonna say something else, and then I was like listening to her so intently. I was like, oh my God, that's right. And then I completely forgot what I was gonna say. So
All right. So any
enamored by
other
you,
banter that we
Sarah.
want to get into before we close?
What's that?
Any other banter that we want to get into before we close? I mean, it's October. It's like the greatest month of the year. My birthday's coming up. It's football season. Hockey's going on. I mean, the leaves are going to start changing. It's hunting time. Like, come on, there's got to be something else to talk shit about. Sarah's frozen. I love it.
I know. I was gonna say I was waiting for it.
Nothing.
Guess there's nothing.
Well, folks, I guess that's gonna wrap this one up. Maybe on the next one. Oh, there she is. Back.
I'm sorry. The
right.
Wi-Fi cut off. I thought it was just you kicking me out because I said I was going to beat you this week and get my first W.
We missed.
No, I didn't even hear that.
Oh, see?
Yeah.
Then I went blank and I was like, oh, okay. I see how it is.
Yeah.
Wait, it's not too late though.
I was gonna say she got the Meg treatment.
All right.
Now she's really gone.
All right, guys. Well, until next time, we'll be seeing you. All right. Take care.